everyone, this presentation is for Dr. Craig Diedrich, Periodontology Dental Office. I am Tara Bard, and the presentation is a proposal for the implementation of ADA compliant doors at the office. There is a problem with the doors at the office being a barrier or challenge for the handicapped or elderly patients trying to get to their appointment. The ADA in this presentation stands for Americans with Disability Act. 1 in 5 people in the United States have a disability, and not only do they have physical challenges, but they have psychological challenges too. Many of these patients have secondary illnesses, so it's so important that they are able to be able to get to the dental office or any office for their health reasons, and to be accommodated so they don't feel like they're challenged or they don't want to go at all. Before I start a presentation, I like to think of the goal. Why are we doing this? What is our purpose? And I found a neat quote from Albert Einstein saying, only a life lived for others is a life worthwhile. And I like that quote because I think we have to go back to the original mission and goals, vision that the office had when it first started. And many of us still live by that today, but just remember why we're there. We're there for the patients, and without them, we wouldn't really have an office. So we want to make sure that we are living for them while we're at the office. Some of the topics that I will be covering in this presentation is the ADA, my assessment of the doors in my survey with the patients, and my vision for success to take care of the barriers. So what does the ADA say anyway? Well, I did a lot of research, and there's a lot of information out there how the ADA protects its people. The ADA protects the rights for all disabled people to exist within the normal realm of society. It prohibits and manages discrimination. And they are there for any disabled or elderly disabled person so they can get through this society like you or I does. The ADA's mission is to provide awareness and direction for businesses like ours to assist realistic accommodations for treatment. So there's a whole host of information out there about what the ADA does, tons of websites. It's not hard to become aware of what's going on with ADA or the patients that are involved. So that takes me to the building requirements. What is it that our office needs to do? There seems to be a big gray area in this concept or topic of what older buildings that were built long before the codes came out, of how they're supposed to comply. And since the building is grandfathered in, it also is known as safe harbor laws by the government. The ADA requirement is to voluntarily bring your establishment up to an ADA level where patients can receive dental treatment. The Disability Network states, make a reasonable attempt to respond to the ADA's request by removing architectural barriers when it is readily achievable. So what they're saying is there's really no code for the safe harbor buildings that were built a long time ago. No law mandates or anything like that, but they do want you to be aware of the problems. Everybody knows about the parking and the ramps and everything. If you have situations like that, then you need to voluntarily make it right for the disabled people. We want them to feel like they want to be treated, and they have the right to be treated. Are lawsuits possible? You bet they are. There's red flags across the United States with lawsuits happening. I found tons of articles with older buildings having lawsuits because they're not complying, they're not even acting like they're aware of what's going on. New buildings that are constructed, they don't have a choice. But when there's older buildings, it's a choice, but you have to do what's right for the patient. Legal professionals state the best way to avoid potential lawsuits is to meet all ADA standards, whether or not you are grandfathered in. unintentional awareness or modifications has its limits. I think that's what I noticed most in the research is that there's a lot of lawsuits going on saying that the people that own these offices or practices, they didn't know what was supposed to be done, and that's limited. They're only going to fall for that at a certain point. But if you have somebody, an elderly person, fall in your doorway because the door closes too fast, that's pretty much a given that you're going to have some trouble, and we don't want anybody to get hurt. My assessment was my favorite part of the presentation. I realized the amount of awareness out there after doing my research, and I enjoyed doing my surveys with my patients. They have enlightened me on some anxiety and challenges that I never even thought about, and I'm appreciative to have their communication on the problem. I did my assessment by becoming an elderly patient with a cane on the outside of the door. I entered the door, was approaching the outside of the door, and I found that the door was very heavy to open. It did not open very far because it was so heavy, and as I started walking through, it closed right behind me, and it just is not a very good accommodating situation for somebody that's inching their way through the door slowly. I have had a situation in the past where I opened the door and skimming through, but I've had a experience where the door hit me in the heel and it made my back of my heel bleed because it closed so fast and it's so heavy. Not only that, but the threshold of the door casing on the floor is pretty high. I mean, it was the one that was put in when the building was built, so there's no blame there, but it can be a challenge or a fearful area for injury if somebody got caught, tripped on it, or even the wheelchairs. I've had experience where you can't get over and forward. You have to back people out of that encasement on the floor. And so I entered the inside of the building and went to the office door, which was lighter than the outside door. However, it had a turn doorknob, which I have found through my research that is not very useful or helpful for handicap or elderly patients. They don't have that turning mechanism in their hand anymore. So the door opened and opened easily, but again, the door closes quite quickly. So another challenge or barrier for somebody that is using a cane like I was that day. And I really was enlightened again about how these barriers could really affect people that were moving slowly. So my vision for success is, of course, to remove barriers. I would love to see a push button automatic door opener on the outside of the outside building of the door, and it would be so great to have that door welcoming, open, and people can move through as slowly as they want to. They don't have to worry about turning around and getting hit by the door. The threshold, I've talked to a contractor, is easy to fix. They just put it like a rubber molding over that threshold. It works for other offices too. So a couple of simpler things to fix on the inside door, the office door, is the handle doorknob would change to a lever pull down. That works better for handicapped people. And then just adding a slow closing hinge to the top of the door, so when it closes slowly so they have time to get through. So my vision is to accommodate the patients that really need us the most. And of course, I was thinking about our mission statement at the office, and we've always kept the patient's mouth, the dental health of them first and foremost. But then I got to thinking about the last half of the mission statement that really applies to this proposal and this presentation. It reads as this: we promise to care for our patients in an atmosphere of professionalism, mutual support, respect, and safety. And the respect is understanding that not everybody is like us. They have challenges. However, they still need the same treatment that we want and that we can offer them. And safety is very important. Without them getting in and out of the office safely, we wouldn't have patients. And their safety is the utmost importance to making sure that their dental trip goes smoothly. So these are just a few ideas for improving the accommodations for the patients and making them first is just like the quote from Albert Einstein that we want to do things worthwhile for other people, and accommodating the disabled and elderly patients would be a great success for the office and for the patients. Thanks for watching.